May I come in, sir? Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, have a seat.
Thank you, sir.
You are Mayank Mudgil.
Yes, sir.
You did the civil engineering
Yes, sir.
from PEC.
From PEC, yes, sir.
It's called, what is it called now?
Punjab Engineering College, deemed to be a university.
Deemed University. And before that, you were in the this Mayankmudgil school.
Manimara model, yes, sir.
Right. And your father is a deputy manager where?
He currently in State Bank of India, sir.
Posted where?
In local head office, sector 17 itself. Earlier, he's retired from Indian Air Force.
That's right. And, so what have you been doing after this 2018?
Sir, I was working in Maruti Suzuki India Limited for 2 years.
Where?
In West Zone. I was working as a land acquisition and asset monetization manager. I resigned in 2020 when pandemic struck, and I have been preparing ever since.
This is the first time you are appearing the?
Yes, sir. This is my first attempt, sir.
Okay.
So you were fed up with the job, or why did you leave the job?
Sir, I thought in very detail, and I thought that civil services, it is the highest professional services under the government of India, and it is going to give me leadership opportunities at a very early stage in my career. So it was a natural choice for me, sir.
But do you think that civil service is a professional service? How do you define professional service and a generalist service? There's something called general. You are jack of all trades.
Yes, sir.
And do you think civil service is a professional service?
Yes, sir, it is a profession in its all, and there are certain rules and conduct rules also which applies to them. Although there is not a very good outline of what their services are, that's why we say that these are generalists officers. But in general, it is a very professional services. So.
Answer.
See, you have been a civil engineer, yet?
Yes, sir.
4 years, 4-year course here.
Yes.
And in Maruti, you have been doing a management job,
Yes.
assistant manager and all.
Yes, sir.
Nothing concerned with the civil engineering.
Sir, my background was civil engineering.
But their job was totally management.
Yes,
Nothing to do with that one.
Yes, sir.
Again, same question to you. When did you decide to go to civil services?
Sir,
And
it was in the back of my mind from a very long point of time.
When you were in school?
Sir, yes, sir. From 4th or 5th class. A family member in my family, she cracked the exam, and she also serves as a role model for me.
In that case, then why did you go for engineering then?
Sir, I had a natural inclination for science, and especially the mathematical aspect as well.
So, if you have natural inclination towards science, engineering and all, and then you are coming to totally going against what your natural inclination is. Have you read Gita?
Yes, sir.
What does Bhagavan Krishna say in that? It's exactly the same thing. What Swadharma.
Right.
Whatever your natural inclination is, do that. Don't do others' job. So if you are naturally inclined towards science and mathematics and this and that, you should have pursued that profession instead of coming to civil services.
Sir, that is how my mind works at a very basic level. But I have always had a proficiency for civil services as well. And there is application of scientific temperament in civil services as well. So these are also naturally complementary with each other, sir.
Scientific temperament.
Yes, sir.
How do you define that? What are the nature of civil servants where you find that and scientific temperament, and where don't you have a scientific temperament? That is in every job, any job you do, you can do it in a scientific manner and this manner.
Sir, the very basic quest to find the why aspect of anything is something which I relate to, and which something is the scientific temperament aspect. And in this civil services aspect, in the civil services as well, this why component that we have is very much important when we work in the administration.
Mayank, tell me one thing. Do you think that the civil services of India, they have lived up to their expectations, or they have lived up to their job which they were cut out to be from 1947 onwards, or even now? Do you think for the job they have been made, they have been doing the nice job, good job? And if not, what can you do? What do you plan to do when you join the service?
So civil services has been the steel frame of India since its inception, and especially after independence as well.
Okay.
It has done a very commendable job in various instances throughout our history. Having said that, there are some challenges. There is a concept of corruption in the civil services that is going on, and there is also content of inefficient officials as well. Personally, sir, I want to work towards corruption and collusive bribery in my when I get into the services, and there is also a very important need to enhance the efficient working of the officials. We also need to think about a very robust performance appraisal mechanism as well, so that the corrupt officials and the inefficient officials are phased out of the services. So.
Don't you think that there are many things which the civil servants should be supported with institutions, legal institutions, legal framework, which they are lacking? Like in the case of police. Police had been working since 60 years under the same 1861 Police Act.
Right.
And then you have the CRPC, 1972, Evidence Act, again, old ones. So, same thing with civil services also, like IAS and other things. Even the income tax. Now they have gone for a faceless way of evaluation, which should have been done long back. So, don't you think that these civil servants need the institutional support?
Definitely, sir, and it has been a long-standing demand as well from certain sections of the society, so that we perform an outlaying of the work that they are supposed to do, apart from the generalist work that the civil services carry out. There is a dire need of reforms in all of the sectors as well, sir.
Okay.
Madam.
Thank you, sir.
Mayank, in your hobby you have mentioned watching science fiction movies. Which type of science fiction movies do you watch?
Especially relating to time travel and space travel, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you tell me the recent movie which you have watched? Any recent movie?
Ma'am, the Adam Project, which has recently come, I watched, and I've also rewatched Interstellar as well very recently.
Okay, okay. And there are a lot of movies about natural disasters also.
Yes.
Right, and disaster management is one of the very important and integral part of your optional also, public administration. So, can you tell me something about the disaster management scenario of India? Are we prepared? Are the policies which are already in place or the frameworks which are being adopted, are they sufficient to address the issues of natural disasters in India?
Ma'am, the framework that we normally follow is via the National Disaster Management Act of 2005, which generally gives a very large work of the whole setup. Currently, we follow top-down approach, wherein the National Disaster Management Authority then passes on the cases to State Disaster Management Authority. Ultimately, the State Disaster Management Authority are the primary responders. Having said that, we need to build up the efficiencies of the local self-government institutions, especially the panchayats and the urban bodies, so that because they are the first responders to any situations. When we instill their performance in that sector, we can work in a bottom-up manner, and this can surely reform how we conduct our disaster management activities.
Okay, sir was asking
but
about.
Here in disaster management, top-down things has to be there, because see, warning system, disaster warning systems. I don't think at local body, at the panchayat level and all, they know about what disaster is coming. It is the top level, national level, where they have to be told, the state government, and then it's down below level. Second thing is panchayat level, the authority, do they have the infrastructure, do they have the equipment, do they have the resources to do anything? Like evacuation. Suppose they have to be taken to all these things. So I think, and what happens, more than the state disaster management thing, is the National Disaster Management Force, NDRF, which reaches immediately. And see, many states, they don't have efficient state disaster management mechanism. The NDRF, which is more effective, reaching faster than any other things. So I think here is top to bottom also working well.
And talking about this scientific temperament, see, scientific temperament does not look for the psychological angle, or does it? Instinct based. Yes. Does it give any importance to instincts or not? You were talking about scientific temperament also, na? So your scientific temperament will definitely help you in your future decisions if you become a civil servant. So under those circumstances, will you be taking into consideration instincts?
Psychology itself is a part of science, and when we talk about various scientific scientists that have been in the history, when we talk about Albert Einstein and how he wrote E equal to mc square, and then he went on to go with general theory of relativity. Instinct was a very big part. When we talk about Leonardo da Vinci and how he made that revolvable cannon to ultimately safeguard his country, Florence, that was also based on instincts as well.
Okay, so what is the role of instinct in disaster management?
I'm preempting the disaster.
How? That is my question. How?
Okay.
The cyclone is coming from Bay of Bengal, going to rise at
Can you
Odisha and
preempt
all.
that?
Can you preempt that?
Can you preempt that?
We can put safeguards and SOPs into place.
That is separate thing. But can you preempt? The main question is, can you preempt that?
Earthquake. We are in zone 5, Chandigarh.
Yeah.
ठीक है? Can you preempt an earthquake?
We cannot preempt these natural disasters, but we can take into place some certain SOPs. For example, we can have food stocked in our granaries, especially at the disaster.
That is basically you are talking about, your disaster management action plans, preparedness.
Right.
Mitigating the effects of the disaster.
Yes. Have you heard of Sendai framework for disaster management?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
What is that?
Unaware about the exact details.
Okay, but there is a motto behind the Sendai framework for action of this disaster management.
I'm unable to recall at the moment.
Okay, because it is taking into consideration instinct. I'll tell you later.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay.
Mayank, you must be reading some newspapers.
Yes, sir.
Which newspaper you read?
The Times of India and the Indian Express.
Regularly?
Yes, sir.
If I ask you a question, the last 15 days, 1 month, in the field of international diplomacy, we have a Ukraine war and all that. In your opinion, what do you find very significant so far as India is concerned? I mean, sometimes Russian foreign minister comes, Chinese foreign minister comes. So today again a foreign dignitary is coming. How you visualize the situation?
So there are two aspects to it. The first is the growing stature of India in the global stage and the multipolar world order. And the other one is the dependence of India, especially on the oil imports, which makes it vulnerable in its foreign policy as well. So these two things I find most thing to be talked about.
You think India's decision to import oils from Russia, is it going to help them?
Sir, help them in what sense?
I mean, they say,
See, is it only the oil because of which India has been neutral or has been seen as tilting towards Russia, or is something else also? Because see, India is dependent upon Russia only for 1 to 2% of oil import, not more than that. Out of 100 barrel, it imports only 1 to 2 barrel. So do you think that only because of the import of the oil, India has taken this stand? Or some other things, or something else?
So that has been a factor, but India and Russia have been a very long, long-standing friendship. But that does not influence India's decision in any manner. India has traditionally maintained a non-aligned stance and a neutral stance at the world order. And in general, the defense imports that India takes from Russia, those are also a factor.
That is the main factor.
Right, sir.
That is a main factor.
But in this Ukraine thing, what is, in your opinion, is the core issue in international diplomacy? What is the core issue?
So the power struggle between the West and the Russian leadership.
What do you mean by that?
Sir, the world order has been witnessing a very significant shift in the power struggle. The Western countries, especially due to the ongoing Indo-Pacific theater, have been feeling vulnerable. And at the same point of time, Russia is also resurging from its economic and financial slowdown. So Ukraine just happened to be a theater wherein the two forces competed with each other. That is the core issue, sir.
So the erstwhile USSR, how many countries it had?
Sir, I will have to check upon that.
Russia, they disintegrated. There were 15 countries.
There are 15 countries.
So are you aware that many of them have gone to NATO and
Yes.
European Union and all that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So they are trying to have Ukraine also.
Yes, sir.
So in that context, my question is, sometimes we hear of this Quad, on hand Russia, then Australia, Japan. Sometimes we heard of BRICS, sometimes BIMSTEC, sometimes NATO.
Right, sir.
You think that India's stature is going up in international diplomacy or not?
Definitely, sir. And India, with respect to the neutral stance it has recently taken, especially in the Russia-Ukraine conflict,
Right.
It has grown importance. It has taken importance from Western nations as well, and from the Russian and China as well. The recent visit from Chinese foreign minister is also an indication that being natural competitors, there is a still equation of friendship between India and China which is possible. And with regards to the neighborhood policy that India is taking up and viewing itself as a net security provider in the region, India's stature is certainly growing up, but there is a very large ground that needs to be covered.
See, in my opinion, it's not that in an alignment and this and that. Whatever stand India has taken, they have taken for the benefit of its own country, India. India first, that is what they have kept in mind.
Right.
If this government is taking this stand, the crux is India first.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gadkari, I'm taking his name because he said something, that more people die out of suicide than on road accidents. What is he appreciating?
Sir, he's probably appreciating the better infrastructure that India now has, especially in the
I have
transport.
the data of 2000 and now 2020. How many road accidents have taken place?
Sir, I'm not aware about the data, sir.
Do you find any default in the road being constructed from airport to wherever we are? Why more accidents take place?
Sir, it has to do with the
It has taken 7 years.
Right, sir.
In 7 years, we have not been able to repair it.
Right, sir.
Where do you place the finger?
Sir, the inefficient.
I am very lucky.
Right, sir.
My hero and my brother, elder brother, was a civil engineer.
Right, sir.
And I feel bad that he did not get selected in PEC.
Right, sir.
He got into Thapar.
Right, sir.
But what I understand from him is, an engineer is not one who only engineers. He's a guy who thinks for tomorrow. Any two engineers you name who have made history in India?
Sir, the first one has to be Mr. M. Viswasarya.
Hmm?
M. Viswasarya, after whom we also
What is he?
celebrate the Indian Engineers Day. He particularly was important in construction of dams in the southern region.
I'm taking you away. How do you compare Bhakra Dam with the kind of dam he made?
Sir, I am unaware about the dam, the details of the dam that Mr.
No, this
Viswasarya.
is civil
made.
engineering.
Yes, sir, I am unaware about the details, sir.
You don't know.
I don't.
Which is the best dam in the world?
I am unaware about that, sir.
No.
But you must have seen.
One, sir.
Bhakra
I'm going in the right
Dam.
direction.
Yes.
I found one thing very important for an engineer, that whenever he wants to take a decision about the road, about the project, or whatever, there's some kind of interference. What makes a civil engineer? Tell me three things.
Sir,
Makes a good civil engineer.
So the foresight is the first thing that is very important, especially in the civil engineering field. Then the professional competence is something which is very important, considering all of the aspects that civil engineering falls. And then the future planning as well. It is very important, especially when one has to forecast the needs. When we construct a road, I would like to take an example with your permission,
You
sir.
belong to Haryana.
Yes, sir.
Do you know somebody who made a very different kind of canals, which I never heard of in India?
I am unaware about that, sir.
What was the first name of your college?
Lahore, it was Lahore something. I'm unaware about
No,
the
you know
name.
the place, but you don't know the place.
The name I'm unaware of.
Why are we making 100 years of that?
So because it was founded in Lahore before 100 in 1920, in 1921. Apologies.
Mhm.
So we were celebrating the 100 years anniversary of.
Don't you
PEC.
feel proud that an institution has survived for 100 years
I do.
and
Feel,
still contributing? And do you remember any of engineers produced by IITs getting a Nobel Prize?
I'm unaware about that, sir.
Anywhere any engineer getting a Nobel Prize?
I'm unaware about that, sir.
You took the name of my friend Einstein.
Right, sir.
Any other recent great scientist?
Sir, the name I'm unaware about, but the recent physics Nobel Prize which was given, it was very significant, especially when we took the photo of black
His
hole.
entire theory is applicable.
Right, sir.
His physics is applicable to engineering.
Right, sir.
You understand? These are the models.
Right, sir.
I worship engineers. There's another engineer which is very famous now. And he said, take me away from the political or administrative or bureaucratic control. He made a difference to India. Any name?
So can I take a guess, sir, if I remember it correctly? The Metro Man of India. I'm forgetting his
Somebody
name.
who started metro.
I'm forgetting the name right now, sir.
You remember the name?
I'm forgetting the name right now.
Please
sir.
remember, Sridharan.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Mr. Sridharan. Yes, sir.
These are important things
Yes, sir.
because you are viewed as a product of engineering. You're yet to be an IAS or whatever you want to be.
Right, sir.
But the basic is this. One question which is very important. You've been science fiction movies. Why not novels?
Sir, I read a few novels during my childhood, but
Which one?
Sir, one particularly Journey to the Center of the Earth by Julius Verne and War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. After that, when I got into the
These are
studies,
old.
after that, when I got into the studies, I was not fortunate enough to read those movies.
As well as even I know.
Right, sir.
Something new.
I have not read any, sir, in the recent
Any
times.
great scientist in the last 100 years who could not get a Nobel Prize?
Sir, I am unaware about that, sir. There must have been many scientists, but particular name I am unable to recall right
Why
now.
PEC is more famous than any other institution?
Sir, there are several reasons to that. The
Exactly.
first one is it's the historical grounds that it has. After partition, it was shifted here, and it also rejected the point of getting the tag of IIT, which now it is now trying to get as IIT Chandigarh. But earlier, because it has built a brand for itself, and it has also produced several great engineers such as Kalpana Chawla as well. So they are a very good products of PEC, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
But you are basically a civil engineer.
Yes.
But for this examination, I think you went for some other subject.
Yes, sir.
What was that?
Public
What
administration.
was the reason for that?
Sir, civil engineering is a confluence of 22 to 23 subjects in themselves, such as transportation engineering, water supply, then we have environmental engineering as well. I was already versed with engineering aspects, and I thought that public administration would give me a theoretical insight to what I'm about
What
to
you are
get
aspiring,
into.
huh?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
So these were the two major factors, sir.
So which portion of public administration that you find it more?
Sir, it has to be comparative public administration and Kautilya's Arthashastra as well, sir.
So, the duties of a civil servant, have you read this Weber's theory of bureaucracy?
Right, sir, right.
Are you aware of that?
Yes, sir.
So, what is that?
Sir, he outlined the bureaucratic model wherein he gave the legal rational model of bureaucracy, wherein he said that the bureaucracy has to be delinked from the political character and has to work as a professional service in itself. That- Definitely, sir, with certain reforms.
What reform do you expect to delink?
So the first one has to be the application of the current foundational values such as objectivity and neutrality that are very much required in civil services.
That is required, but how to ensure that?
So there needs to be a zero tolerance policy against corruption and collusive bribery. Also, we need to have a very robust system of merit and professional achievements while taking promotions into the foray. And when we talk about certain skilling and upskilling methodologies, especially with regard to the Mission Karm Yogi, which has recently been brought into the system, we need to understand that Indian bureaucracy, these are the best minds of the country.
Tell me what two qualities, just name two qualities which is required for a civil servant to be an ideal civil servant and successful civil servant. Two qualities which a person should have to
Sir,
deliver the goods.
Sir, honesty, integrity, and professional competence.
Honesty, integrity is the same thing. Okay? And professional
Competence.
capability, I told you, there is nothing professional. Sometimes you're in power department, sometimes in health department, sometimes in police department, sometimes. So there is nothing like professional, which sir told you.
Sir, emotional quotient also, emotional intelligence part is also very
See,
much important.
being a civil servant, what I say, the first thing which you require is sincerity.
Right,
You
sir.
should be sincere to your job. That is what is lacking.
Right, sir.
Of course, integrity, they know substitute for that one. But there are many civil servants who are very honest, but they are not sincere to their job.
Right, sir.
चलता है, ठीक है.
But are you conscious of the fact that, say you are selected as IAS, we wish you all the best and all that, that you will have to work with people who are far less educated, who have far less values of life and all that. For your whole life, sometimes this political party, sometimes that political party. Do you think you can be comfortable in that system?
Definitely, sir. I place my faith in my abilities and the abilities of others as well. That they are doing their job with their best expertise, and I will do my job with my best expertise, sir.
I have a very beautiful question. When was the UPSC founded?
Sir, I'm unaware about the year, but it was. Can I
What?
take a guess, sir? Can I take a guess, sir?
Just can I take a guess?
हैं?
You want to guess?
नहीं वो तो आपको बाद में बताएंगे.
It was somewhere
Ah.
in 1923 or 24, sir.
Never answer a question by a question.
Okay. Yes.
You see,
You say I don't know.
board member wants you to answer. You are the god.
Right, sir. Right.
At one stage in your life, we always change our total perspective about employability and all that. Is it power, service, better salary? What's it?
So for people, it has to be all of these factors. For me, it was the second one, that was service. when I took these change in my employability scenario.
I have a feeling that an engineer can get 10 times more salary than a civil servant and 20 times more than a teacher. How?
Sir, the opportunities, especially the engineering field has, when we because it is a professional service. There is a course of specialization as well. Whenever a person gets higher into their field of employability, engineers are very highly paid.
Like every profession contributes to civil services, and which are the best civil servant from engineering side?
So civil engineers are the best engineers from engineering side, sir.
Yeah.
Mayank, recently, what this government has started, they have started inducting professionals at the higher level, in joint secretary and some other level, secretary level also. Now we have a secretary science and technology who is an IIT professor. Then we have a secretary who is DRDO, who is basically director of DRDO itself. Okay. What do you think is the reason behind that?
Sir, it is to bring the professional competence that the corporate sector holds, and especially the economical, the efficiency and the effectiveness component.
IIT Kanpur is not a corporate sector.
Sir,
The Science and Technology Secretary, he is a professor in IIT Kanpur. He is a product of IIT Kanpur. He did a PhD from University of Wisconsin, something like that. He joined as professor in IIT Kanpur. He is secretary now.
Sir, the insights from outside the government is also very important, so that we do not face a de-link between the policies that we make and how they are going to be applied at the ground level. That is also very important, sir.
Okay.
Right, your interview is over.
Right, sir.
Okay, you can just go outside.
Right, sir.
And we will again call you after 1 minute.
Thank you, sir.
Right.